With the increasing amount of streaming services that are coming about and all films and shows being released to these streaming services, is a question that has to be answered. Are movie theaters going to be around for much longer? This question may seem obvious. No, they're not going to be around. Who would want to leave the comfort of their home and go spend $50 to have their family of four go and watch a movie in a movie theater when they can spend $10 to $15 a month and they can just watch whatever they want from the comfort of their home on their time, and they don't have to worry about getting a certain seating or getting on time, or do they have to listen to the ads in the beginning of the movie, or the next person next to you that you don't know that's talking and chomping their popcorn very loudly. So on paper, it sounds like streaming services is a better idea, right? I mean, that makes sense. I don't understand why anyone would want to go to the movie theater, other than the fact that some movies are released in theaters first rather than on streaming services. If you had some big films like the Marvel films, Star Wars, and Disney, and any other big films like Top Gun Maverick, if it was just released immediately to a streaming service, nobody would go see it in theaters. I mean, with the exception of maybe Top Gun Maverick, I mean, that one needs to be seen in theaters to see the effects. But other movies, people would just watch at home. I mean, if you really wanted a great television screen, you go out there and buy a 4K television screen, and over time, you invest money in that as well. But yet, people still release movies to the theaters, and people still go to the theaters. So why is that? Well, one of the reasons that would be is because movies make a lot more money by releasing to movie theaters, because you see the box office, you see people, that's how they make their money. Your big budget films need to make a lot of money to make some profit off of their work. So that's why they release it in movie theaters, to make people have to go out and see it, or like they did with the Disney Plus. I forget if it was called Disney Plus Plus or whatever it was, the paid version where you could watch Mulan, but it costs like $30 or whatever. That it's still not as good. It's still a cheaper deal if you have like a family of five or so, because it's equivalent to like $50 nowadays with a movie ticket. Around, at least where I live, it's kind of around $12 to $15 depending which theater you go to. So to give you a little bit of an example. But if you look at that, movies do make a lot more money when they go to theaters, and they have to for their profit. And some of these cheaper films that, like Disenchanted, they didn't cost as much. I mean, they still cost some, but they didn't cost enough that you have to release it on the big screen. You could just move it over your streaming service, and enough people will subscribe, and then you'll make enough money to make some profit off of that. But I do believe movie theaters are around to stay, because until streaming services make enough money for these companies to be able to afford these big budget films, there's going to be movie theaters. People love to go to the movie theater. I love to go to the movie theater. And the movie companies know that, so they're going to release all their big budget films to the movie theater, at least for a couple of weeks. And as long as they do really well, you've seen this trend. If a movie does really well, it'll stay in theaters for months. Top Gun Maverick at my movie theater was there for months. It was crazy. We always had at least one showing a day. It just finally left right before it got on DVD. But if there's a film that doesn't really do well in the box office, its first week it crashes terribly, kind of like Lightyear, it'll play for a couple of weeks, maybe 2 or 3, and then it'll just get released onto its streaming service like Lightyear did. And that's kind of what happened. So a lot of directors and producers are really against streaming services and their films going there immediately, because that ruins the big screen experience. Tom Cruise, for example, he makes movies for the big screen. He was never going to release Top Gun Maverick on a streaming service. They were almost done with it back in 2020 or 2019, and Tom was approached and they said, hey, why don't we just release it on a streaming service so people can see it, because people have been excited for this. And Tom came back and said, no, this needs to be seen on the big screen. And he was right. So overall, I do believe that movie theaters are here to stay, at least for now, since the margin is great, and a lot of people love going to the movies. I don't see that changing in the next decade. But of course, we will have to wait and see what happens. I'm Wormy, and that's what we got for you today. Leave a like and subscribe if you like this video, and stay tuned for our future videos. Thank you.